Did you ever learn that that individual had paid Mooney for anything? No, ma'am. If I can jump back a little bit to Hockey's murder, did Mooney ever tell you that he got paid for that? Yes, ma'am. And did he inform you who paid him for that? No, ma'am. And you said Mooney told you that they were trying to get somebody else. What information did Mooney share with you about who they were trying to get? It was just someone from around 6 in Saratoga, and that he drove an Acura. And what did you and Mooney do at that point after you received that information? We went on 6 in Saratoga. Were you looking for this Acura? Yes, ma'am. Did you find it? No, ma'am. Are you aware of the individuals who were accused of killing George Hankton? Yes, ma'am. And who would that be? Tutu and Durney. Have you ever heard of an individual by the name of Kareem Peters? Yes, ma'am. Have you ever heard Mooney talk about him? Yes, ma'am. And what did he say? He said he was next on the list to be killed. And why was that? Because he was beefing with Telly. Were you aware that Kareem Peters drove an Acura? No, ma'am. So when you were looking at 6 in Saratoga for the Acura, you never found it? We never found it. Did you go back there again at any other times to look for it? No, ma'am. If I can take you, you mentioned the individual Mike D who you were with on the day you got released from jail. Are you aware if Mike D's cousin was ever killed? Yes, ma'am. Do you know his name? O. O? His nickname is O? Yeah. And he was killed on March 23rd, 2009? Yes, ma'am. What did you learn about the killing of O? I learned that Walter Porter did it. How did you learn that? He told me, When we ride around every day, he just, talk. He always bragged to me, like I told you, you know what I'm saying? In the streets, that's how you get your respect, you know what I'm saying? So, on a daily, we just talk like that. Okay. And what did he say about the killing of O? Well, he said someone paid him to kill O, and that he found out where O stayed at in the Gentilly area, and that he went around there late in the alley. You know what I'm saying? He said, this her time O parked his car around the corner. So he said he heard some footsteps. He said when he heard the footsteps, he came out of the alley as O was going in the house and shot him in the doorway. And did it? You said somebody paid him. Did he tell you who paid him? A guy named Boothie. And where is Boothie from? The 13th. Do you know his real name? No, ma'am. Do you know Boothie? Yes, ma'am. Did there come a point in time when Walter Porter learned that O was related to Mike D? Yes, ma'am. Do you know how he learned that? Oh, well, we was all chilling because Mike D our friend too. So, we all hang together. And Mike D was like, man, somebody killed my cousin or whatever. And he was telling us where at and when it happened and how it happened. And then, when Mike D left, Mooney pulled me to the side and was like, he did it. Now, Emmanuel or O was killed in March of 2009, and you did not get out of jail until August of 2009? Yes, ma'am. So when did this conversation actually take place? This was in August. What happened? What did you and Walter Porter, Mooney, do when Mooney told you that he had killed Mike D's cousin? Well, they was inquiring with me. You say they. Who is they? Him and Gerard Howard. They were inquiring with me should they kill Mike D because they wanted to know would Mike D ride for his cousin that he'd be a threat to them. So I told them, no, y'all didn't know that was Mike D's cousin up front, and Mike D like family with us. So, it makes no sense to kill Mike D. I'm like, leave Mike D alone. And did Walter Porter ever have a conversation with Mike D about the killing of his cousin? Yes, ma'am. Were you present for that? Yes, ma'am. And what did Walter Porter say? He just was like, man, I didn't know that was your cousin, Boothie paid me to kill him, to prove my loyalty or whatever, We're just going to kill who paid me to kill your cousin. And what was Mike D's response? He just was like, he was like, he going to stop hanging around us. And did he stop hanging around you? Yes, ma'am. Now, you had mentioned an individual BG before. Have you ever participated in any video shoots with BG? Yes, ma'am. And when did this video shoot take place? In October. And who was present for this video shoot? What people? I mean, basically the whole neighborhood. Me, Mike D, BG, Mooney, the Moon Pollard, a whole lot of people. And during that video shoot, did Mooney have an opportunity to introduce you to someone? Yes, ma'am. Who did he introduce you to? Kevin Jackson. Did you know him to be Kevin Jackson? Not at this time. Okay, and who was he with? He was with my friend Ahmad. And where is Ahmad from? The 13th. And can you explain how this introduction took place? Well, you know, we just shooting a video. I see Ahmad pass in a burgundy Cadillac truck. They stopped, but they kept going. They U-turned, came back, and I seen them call Walter Porter to the corner or whatever. So they talked for a few minutes. Mooney called me. He like, guess what, bitch? I'm like, what's up? He like, man, they trying to pay me to kill you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you serious? You just said Ahmad was your friend. Why would Ahmad want you dead? Because he had made some statements, you know, a time ago on Darnell and Crip, who were also from the 13th, about a murder and a robbery. When you say he made some statements to who? To the police. All right, and so he got word that I was supposed to kill him because of this for Darnell and Crip. So he got Kev with them, you know, and they try to pay Mooney to kill me. So at this point, when Mooney tell me, you know, they trying to get me to kill you, he tell Kev like, no, this is my dog. You know what I'm saying? Is this a conversation that all four of you are having? Yeah, all four of us together now. Okay, and was Ahmad and Kevin still in the vehicle? No, we was all standing outside. And where exactly were you guys located? We was on Ferret and Valence. So how did this conversation proceed? I mean, I'm like, you know, I got a gun on me. Mooney got 2 guns on him. I don't even think they got no guns on them, so I am not tripping. I am not worried about nothing. So as we talk, you know, Mooney like, well, who told you this? And Ahmad like, some dude I work with. And so we like, well, who he is, you know, I'm gonna kill him. And so Ahmad like, no, don't worry about it. Whatever. And I'm looking at Kev. I'm like, you know, he tripping like, you know, like I shoot him in his face 30 times. That's how I'm looking at him, like, you know, do he even know, like, what he getting himself into? Have you ever seen him before? I never seen him before. Did you know if there was any relationship between Ahmad and Kevin? That's his brother. Okay, but you knew Ahmad growing up, but you did not know Kevin? I did not know him. So, did Kevin not grow up in the 13th? No, ma'am. When you say that's his brother, do you know how they're actually related? He said that's his brother. Is that something you learned during that conversation? Yes, ma'am. Did you learn anything else about Kevin during that conversation? Not right then and there. How did that conversation end up? You know, we was like, just, you know, all right, man, everything cool. We're gonna holler. You know what I'm saying? So the next day, well, how are you feeling? Like, after they left, how did you feel about that whole situation? You know, I mean, you know, in the streets, you know, respect go a long way. So at the end of the day, you know, when men talk and put things aside, you know, that's that in the street. But at the same time, I just was like, you know, as time went on during the night, I'm just like, let me talk to this dude one more time. Did you want to clear up the situation? I wanted to clear everything up again. From when Kev and Ahmad were talking to Mooney, did it appear to you that Mooney had known both of them? Yes, ma'am. And you said they called Mooney over to the truck. Do you remember who called Mooney over to the truck? Kev. Now, so after that night, what did you do? What steps did you take in order to straighten out the situation? Well, the next day I called Mooney. I'm like, what's up? He like, what's up? I'm like, man, let's go holler at the dude, man. So you know what I'm saying? He come pick me up. Where were you staying at that time? I was staying in New Orleans East. And he picked you up, and where did you all go? We went to Kev's house. So, did Mooney know where Kev's house was? Yes, ma'am. He didn't have to get directions or anything like that, as far as you know? No, ma'am. And when you went out to Kev's house, where did you go? Well, we went all the way down to Chef, you know what I'm saying? Till Chef like turned to Slidell kind of, all the way back in the back of Chef. And Kev's house was to the left. It was a pink house, like a little lake pond in his backyard driveway. And had you ever been there before? No, ma'am. If I can show you, and in preparation for today's trial, did I show you a photograph of the house? Yes, ma'am. And did you identify that photograph? Yes, ma'am. And if I can show you Exhibit 140A, and what is that a photograph of? Kev house. And when you went to this house, is this one big house or are there multiple places in here? It's a double. It's more than one house. What side of the double did you live on if you're looking at the photograph? He said on this side. So on the left side? Yes, ma'am. And you said there was water in the neighborhood. Was there water anywhere near this house? In the back. If you're looking down the driveway, if you kept going down that driveway to the left, what would be behind there? A big old, like, lake. So when you went to this house, what happened when you all arrived? Well, when we arrived, I get my gun. Mooney get 2 guns. So he like, watch this. Kev always keep his door unlocked. So when Mooney go up on the porch and bust in the house, he bust in the house with the guns out. Kev on the sofa playing John Madden. So Kev like, he startled. He like, damn, I told you like about playing like that. You know what I'm saying? Mooney like, look, you slipping. I could have killed you. You know what I'm saying? And so Mooney was just messing with him? Yeah, Mooney was just joking. And you said he was playing John Madden. What do you mean Kevin was playing John Madden? That's on a PlayStation, a football game. So what happened after Mooney pulled that little stunt? We spoke about, the little incident. And, everything was cleared up and everything was straight. You know what I'm saying? So now we just chilling. So, we just conversating. You know how street dudes do. And Mooney, he always like to brag. You know what I'm saying? Does he talk a lot? Yeah. So he goes talking about the Tutu killing again. You know what I'm saying? And before he talk about the Tutu killing, he tell me like, man, this Telly cousin, this Kev, he a gangster or whatever, And so, he take me through the Tutu killing again. When you say he, who are you talking about? Walter Porter. And is Kevin physically present for this conversation? Yes, ma'am. And what is Mooney or Walter Porter saying about the Tutu killing? Well, he said about how he passed and he didn't know how Tutu looked. He called Telly and his cousin. They met. They passed. They seen it was Tutu. He said Kev was shooting in the crowd. Telly jumped out, shot Tutu, made him fall, like shot him in the legs. Mooney jumped out, emptied both of the guns clipped in Tutu's face and body. Did Kevin do any of the talking in this conversation? In this one, he was shaking his head saying, yeah. While Mooney was saying that, he was like, I been was trying to kill this bitch. You know what I'm saying? He was like, he was serving him cocaine, ounces of cocaine, trying to bait him in to kill him. Serving who ounces of cocaine? Tutu. And trying to bait him in, what does that mean? To kill him. And who was saying that? Kev. What else did Kev say to you about Tutu that day? He was just like, Tutu must have got on to him because he stopped meeting him and buying drugs from him. And when you say got on to him, did he say anything else about that? What does that mean? That mean like, I guess he got suspicious of him, meaning like he knew he was up to something. And he stopped coming around is what Kev said? Yes, ma'am. Did Kevin say anything else about Telly? Yes, ma'am. He said he was writing Telly, do you know where Telly was at this point in time? He was in jail. He said he was writing him in jail, and he showed me letters, and he pulled out a picture of Tutu out the letter. And did you read those letters? No, ma'am. Do you know what Tutu looks like? Yes, ma'am. Was it, in fact, a photograph of Tutu? Yes, ma'am. And did it appear that the photograph came from one of the letters that he said was from Telly? From Telly? From Telly, yes, ma'am. Did you guys have any further conversation about drugs or anything else while you were there? Yes, ma'am. He was just telling me, like, he sell drugs. So I was telling him that, I know how to cook cocaine. That's one of my professions. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, he had some coke and did I mind cooking it for him? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah. So when we went to the kitchen, I seen the utensils he had, and it's not the utensils I use. I use a coffee pot, and all he had was a mayonnaise jar. And then it wasn't much cocaine. It was just like an ounce of cocaine. That's like too little for me. I can't cook that little. And from your experience, when you usually cook cocaine, like what kind of quantities did you cook? I will cook 4.5s and quarter birds at a time, quarter keys. Okay, and so did you take the cocaine or did you leave the cocaine? I left it. During any of that time period when you were in Kev's house, did you see anybody else? No, ma'am. Did they ever make mention of hockey at all while you were there? No, ma'am. What did you guys do after you left Kev's house? Well, before we left, Kev talking and he like, man, I got me a good girl. Man, I got me a big fat red girl, man. You know what I'm saying? What does that mean? A red girl. He was saying that was his old lady. What does red mean? Light skin. So he was telling you that and he is saying she's a good girl? Yeah. He said, I got a big fat red girl. You know what I'm saying? She on her He was like, man, she got a nursery. We got to go past by the nursery or whatever. A nursery as in a daycare? Yes, ma'am. Where did you all end up going? We went downtown in the 7th Ward. And how did you guys get there? We went off on a Claiborne exit and turned on one of the first little streets, went down a few blocks, turned and came back around, and it was a daycare center. And literally, how did you drive from there? Who drove you? Me and Walter Porter drove in one car, and Kev drove in a Cadillac truck, burgundy. And were you following him there? Yes, ma'am. And what happened once you arrived to the daycare? He went in. Who is he? Kev. Came out and we left. Why did you go there? I don't know. Did he give anything to Walter Porter at that time? I didn't see. Did Walter Porter get out and go inside? No, ma'am. Just 2 more small things about Walter Porter. You talked about how he had guns. Would he often have guns with him? Who, Mooney? Yeah. Yeah, all the time. Was there a time that you got arrested? In fact, the charges that you're on, can you explain the circumstances of the charge that you're on? Me, B.G, Damone Pollard, and Mooney, we was at the daiquiri shop at the East. Does Damone Pollard have a nickname? Bone, Mooney. Mooney, okay. And what were you doing at the daiquiri shop in the East? We were just chilling and, lining up some with, females to just go chill. And when you were in the daiquiri shop, did you have a gun? No, ma'am. Did anybody have a gun? Yes, ma'am. Who did? Mooney, B.G, and Mooney. And what happened while you guys were at the coffee shop? At the daiquiri shop? Well, I looked up and the police was looking through the window. And I told them, I'm like, damn, man, y'all didn't see the police? And they was like, nah. So, I take the guns and I give them to Mooney. I tell Mooney, go hop the gate, go by the gas station, and I'm going to come pick them up. And so what did you do? Well, when Mooney hopped the gate, went by the gas station, me, BG, and Mooney jumped in the truck. But when I got in the truck, I remember we had 3 more guns in there. The parking lot was full of police, so I got in the truck, closed the sash spot, and I pulled out the daiquiri shop. And I just kept going. I didn't want Mooney to get caught, so I kept going. got on the bridge and we got pulled over. And what happened when you got pulled over? Police found the guns and we went to jail. And they found the 3 guns inside the car? Yes, ma'am. Did they ever find Walter Porter that night? No, ma'am. And Walter Porter left the daiquiri shop with how many guns? 3. When those guns that Walter Porter had, do you specifically remember what kind of guns they were? It's hard to remember. I'm not sure. Probably a 9, a 40, I don't know what else. When you guys had firearms, were they, store-bought? Not meaning you guys bought them from stores, but were they manufactured by large gun companies as opposed to mom-and-pop guns made in the home? Yes, ma'am. We would always keep 40s, extended clips. Everything got extended clip, 32-round clips in them. Okay, and as part of that charge, did you try to get Damone Polar to take the charges for you? Yes, ma'am. And why is that? Because I wanted to get out of jail. But why would he take a charge for you on a gun charge? Because he ain't had no conviction. And did he, in fact, sign an affidavit claiming that those guns were his? Yes, ma'am. And was this when your case was in state court? Yes, ma'am. And did you, in fact, plead guilty in federal court to the being a felon in possession and obstruction of justice? Yes, ma'am. One moment, Your Honor. I believe those are all of the questions I have for now. Thank you. Thank you.